What happens when the most electrifying player in women's basketball faces the ultimate test? Not from her opponents, but from the very officials meant to protect her. Today, we're diving into the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark and how she transforms frustration into pure basketball artistry when the calls don't go her way. The rookie sensation has become more than just a player. She's become a statement. And when the refs seem to turn a blind eye to the physical play directed her way, Clark didn't complain. She got even in the most spectacular way possible. Coming into the WNBA as the most hyped rookie since Diana Taurasi, Caitlin Clark carried expectations that would crush most players. The logo three-pointers, the no-look passes, the court vision that seemed supernatural. Iowa fans knew what was coming, but the professional level presented new challenges. What nobody anticipated was how opponents would test her physically, and how inconsistently officials would respond to the contact. Game after game, we witnessed a pattern. Hard screens that sent Clark tumbling, aggressive defensive pressure that bordered on excessive and questionable no-calls that left fans scratching their heads. But here's where the story gets interesting. Instead of wilting under the pressure or getting caught up in referee disputes, Clark began to channel that energy into something beautiful. Pure, unadulterated basketball dominance. Let's break down what we were seeing on the court. The strategy against Clark was clear. Make every possession difficult, use physicality to disrupt her rhythm, and hope the officials would allow the playoff-style intensity to continue. Teams deployed their most aggressive defenders. They implemented full-court pressure. They used strategic fouling that often went uncalled. The message was unmistakable. We're going to make you earn every shot, every pass, every moment of brilliance. For many rookies, this would be overwhelming. The physical adjustment from college to professional basketball is already significant. Add inconsistent officiating to the mix, and it becomes a mental game as much as a physical one. But Clark isn't most rookies. She's a competitor who seems to thrive on adversity. Each questionable no call, each hard hit that went unacknowledged became fuel for something extraordinary. The turning point wasn't subtle. You could see it in her body language, in the way she carried herself after taking a hard hit with no whistle. Instead of looking to the officials for help, Clark would simply nod, get back up, and make the next play even more spectacular. The deep three-pointers became deeper, the assists became more creative, the defensive intensity ratcheted up several notches. It was as if each missed call unlocked another level of her game that even she didn't know existed. Game footage reveals the pattern clearly. The more physical the game got, the more dynamic Clark became. When opponents tried to intimidate her with aggressive play, she responded with the kind of basketball that makes highlight reels and wins over skeptics. This wasn't just about scoring, though Clark certainly did plenty of that. It was about elevating her entire team's performance through sheer force of will. Her teammates fed off her energy, her refusal to be deterred, her transformation of adversity into opportunity. When we talk about Clark going full savage, we're not talking about retaliation or dirty play. We're talking about basketball executed at such a high level that it becomes its own form of statement making. Picture this scenario. Clark takes a hard hit driving to the basket. No call. She gets back up, brings the ball down court, and proceeds to drain a three-pointer from the logo while the defender who just fouled her is still getting back on defense. That's not just basketball. That's poetry written in sweat and determination. The savage element was in her complete disregard for the chaos around her. Officials might miss calls, opponents might play overly physical, crowds might be hostile. None of it mattered. Clark had discovered a zone where external factors couldn't touch her performance. Her court awareness became even sharper under pressure. Those no-look passes that made her famous in college, they became more frequent and more accurate when the game got chippy. It was as if the physical adversity heightened every other aspect of her game. Clark's response to inconsistent officiating didn't just affect her individual performance, it changed the entire dynamic of women's basketball. Her ability to rise above questionable calls while maintaining her spectacular play style sent a message throughout the league. Opponents began to realize that trying to intimidate Clark might actually make her more dangerous. The psychological warfare backfired spectacularly. Instead of rattling a rookie, they had awakened something that made an already elite player even more formidable. Her teammates took notice too. When your star player responds to adversity by elevating her game rather than complaining or retaliating, it sets a tone for the entire team. The Indiana Fever began playing with a collective chip on their shoulder, feeding off Clark's resilient energy. The fan response was was equally powerful. Watching Clark transform difficult situations into basketball artistry created a connection with audiences that went beyond typical sports fandom. She became a symbol of perseverance, of responding to unfairness with excellence rather than excuses. What makes Clark's response so compelling isn't just the basketball excellence, it's the character it reveals. In an era where athletes often take to social media to air grievances or engage in public disputes with officials, Clark chose a different path. Her approach sends a powerful message about controlling what you can control. She couldn't dictate how officials would call the game, but she could control her response to their decisions. She couldn't prevent opponents from playing physically, but she could use that aggression as motivation for her own performance. This mentality extends beyond basketball. It's a masterclass in channeling frustration into productivity and using adversity as a catalyst for growth rather than an excuse for decreased performance. The story of Caitlin Clark and the officials isn't really about missed calls or physical play. It's about the remarkable ability of an exceptional athlete to transform challenges into opportunities. When the refs seemed to ignore the contact, Clark didn't waste energy on things outside her control. Instead, she did what great competitors do. She let her play speak louder than any complaint ever could. Every spectacular shot, every impossible pass, every moment of basketball brilliance became her response to the chaos around her. In a league filled with talented players, Clark has distinguished herself not just through skill, but through her ability to thrive when circumstances aren't ideal. That's not just being savage, that's being legendary. The refs might have ignored the hits, but nobody can ignore what Caitlin Clark does with that energy, and that's exactly how she wanted it. This is the mark of true greatness, not just talent, but the mental fortitude to excel when everything seems stacked against you. Clark has proven that champions aren't made in comfortable moments. They're forged in the fire of adversity. Her legacy isn't just about the shots she made, but how she made them matter when it mattered most.